because you got to take a break from hunting to do some training. So, because you got a big deal coming up.
Well, yeah. Thankfully, between our bear training season and our bear kill season this year, it's about 2 weeks, because the kill season always starts. It's either the first Wednesday after Labor Day or the second Wednesday after Labor Day. We flip flop with bait sitters every year on which one goes first.
Oh, that's right.
And how it falls on, how Labor Day falls on the calendar this year, it ends up being about a 2 week break. So, I mean, I kind of have 2 weeks here where I can't run the hounds anyways. So, I
do something.
I might as well train some bird dogs. But then the day she's scheduled the test right now, it would actually be the day after, or is it the day after our kill season starts? So I'm going to miss like the first probably 5 days of kill season because of that test. I mean, and that's not like me. I mean, I haven't missed the first week of bear kill season my whole life, basically. So it was, it was one of them things. I've got a really good friend in Kansas who I got the dog from, and we're really good buddies and have trained a lot together. And I thought about, I could send her to him and have him take her and do the test. But I'm like, man, I got so much invested in this dog right now, just financially, emotionally. And I mean, and it's a big deal. It's something that I want to be there for. I mean, obviously if she doesn't pass, I'll be like, shit, I could have gone without doing that, but
I could have stayed home and went bear hunting.
Exactly. Yeah. I just thought about it and I'm like, man, I've got so much into this dog, and I've done all the training myself. So I would want, to make it work, you would want her to be with him for a significant amount of time. So he had a chance to build that. He's never going to have a bond with her like I do, but you can't just send a dog to a dude one day and be like, here, go run that dog, because that dog doesn't know him from Adam, and she'd be like, what the hell? Why do I got to do for you what you do for me? Yeah.
Right. But why? It seems like a lot of people that I've dealt with in the past, buying hounds, let's say, it's like, oh, the dog's supposed to do this. Oh, it's supposed to do that. But yet they're expected to just hit the woods running. But yet, like your bird dogs, I mean, you know how that works. And I've been the same way with hounds. I've owned dogs that didn't hunt for me for 6 months, 8 months, like until they were really comfortable. I mean, they showed some signs and things like that, but they weren't near the dog that they were with someone else that they were used to.
I think with the bird dogs, just because obedience and the relationship with the handler is so much more than with a hound. I mean, a hound, you let them go and they go hunting. So I think with bird dogs, it's probably even more important that you have that relationship built up. But I know what you're saying. I mean, and how often do you see hounds that don't act the same with strange dogs as they do when they're with the dogs they're comfortable with? That all comes into it. We've done the same thing. Yeah, we've done the same thing. We've had a dog that we sold or gave to somebody else, and they're like, man, this dog doesn't do anything. I'm like, dude, you got it yesterday.
Give
him a chance. He just had his world flipped upside down. I mean, you got to give him a chance to acclimate. And there probably are some dogs. In fact, I know I've got one or two dogs that it wouldn't matter who was taking them hunting. They're going to be the same dog no matter what. But there's probably a larger majority of them that aren't, and like I said, with bird dogs, it's even
they're
more,
out there.
I think they are out there, but you can't expect them all to be like that.
No, they're usually the ones that people don't want to sell either.
Exactly. Yeah, my dog like that ain't for sale. That's for dang sure. So,
you know it. So are you driving out there? Because you're going to New Mexico, right?
Yeah. Well, it was funny. I was just listening to a podcast that I think it's the one that you and Buddy just put out not too long ago, and you guys were talking about road trips and how you were with your kids, and you're like, 4 or 5 hours is doable, but that 8 hours is too much. And I'm thinking, well, shit, we got a 20-hour ahead of us because we're taking all 3 kids.
Oh, and you're packing them all?
We're taking them all.
Ooh.
8 and a 5 and a 3-year-old.
You'll have fun.
Are you sure?
See that you're about the same split. Like ours are, Colin and Connor, they're 6 and 4.
Yeah.
So But I guess I've got an unfair advantage. We've really, well, I guess I should have killed that before we started recording. The phones are still working. No, we started. I mean, in our house, we don't watch a lot of TV anyway.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
have
us either.
tablets or anything. So for
Yep.
me, it's super nice because we just hit the road and I throw them, they got coloring books courtesy of W Hunt and Supply.
Sure.
And, they've got their stuff. They play games and whatever. So as long as you can find that inner place in your mind where you can kind of tone about 7 hours of that trip out, because a lot of it's just chit chat and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. You'll probably be okay. Just pack lots of snacks because I've learned that children will eat. If you pack 5 days worth of food, they're going to eat it as fast as they can.
For sure.
The last day of the trip, we're always down to like bare minimum on snacks, no matter how much we pack.
Stopping at every gas station to add to it. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm worried about
that 8 hours
limiting
plus.
I'm worried about limiting the water supply because I don't want to turn a 10-hour trip. We're going to try to do 10 hours each day. You got to stop and potty every hour. Well, that can turn 10 hours into 13 or 14 pretty quick. So we're going to try to ration
I've learned
the water
you can push it usually about 3 hours. 3 is like tops if you're limiting, because that is, I do the same thing, man. You limit the intake of the liquids and you get a lot farther down the road.
For sure.
So stay away from salty snacks. There's my tip for you. Stay away from the salty snacks, and you probably can get away with less water consumption.
Our kids aren't big on water. My wife's pretty, I don't really care. I mean, my kids love to be outside, so I always tell her, like, if they would rather be outside than watching TV, I don't really care if they watch TV some. And they've kind of always been like that. But my wife, she's kind of a stickler, Oh, you've been watching TV for 15 minutes. Shut it off. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, but she loaded up on, we loaded up on some movies and stuff for the iPads and whatnot, just to have as many tools in our toolbox as we can get, just, pull them out as needed type of thing. But
yeah, man. No, and then they just go into the zone and you can cruise.
Yeah. That's the hope anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you never know how long that zone's going to last.
Dude, no, that's the hardest part. You don't know when it's going to last. And there is breakdowns. About day 2, day 3 into the trip, that's when you start seeing it. Day 1, everybody's spry. They're ready to go. They're excited. And then he's too close to me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, duh. You're both shoved in the back seat of a pickup. He's going to be close to you, bud. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is, I guess we should tell people where you're going. You got the big NAVDA test coming up.
Yeah. So my short hair qualified for the NAVDA Invitational, which is kind of the Super Bowl, or if you want to say for the NAVDA organization. And the test is where they could earn their versatile champion title. So it's kind of been my short hair will turn actually 4 when we're on the way there, and it's kind of been a 3-year process. I mean, for the most part, so and it's tough because it's a 1-day test. I mean, you get 1 day, and a lot of other organizations, like AKC and stuff like that, you need 6 passes to earn the title. So, and one weekend you might get 4 cracks at passes. So, if you have a bad run or something, it's like, oh, well, I got tomorrow to make up for it. Well, in this, you don't. You get 1 crack, and actually you'd have to requalify. So I'd be 2 years out before we can take a stab at this again. So, I think it's good. Some of that stuff, some of the bird dog tests, I feel like it dilutes it down a little bit because, you need 6 passes. Well, I've known of dogs that they're trying it 30, 35 times. Well, you should be able to get lucky 6 times out of 35. At what point are you kind of just buying a title, versus the NAVDA side of it? It's a little more, I don't know if prestigious is a word, but it's just a lot tougher. But the flip side of that is as well as I do, dogs have bad days. And just because
And they
my
always
dog,
line up at the big days.
exactly, just because she could pass it 9 out of 10 times, if that one time that she doesn't pass it happens to be on test day, we're toast. So, there's a lot of stress put on that side of
That's
it too,
tough.
just, yeah, yep, because dumb stuff happens. I mean, I'm sure there's dogs that have not passed that are really to not any fault of their own. Just, you add a human element
Right.
into a bird dog game or into any game, weird stuff happens that's kind of out of anybody's control, um, and it can go south.
Especially
But
after that long of a drive.
well, we're
I
gonna
mean,
try to get
traveling
there.
like that with dogs.
We're gonna get there a couple days early. Um, Give me a chance to run around the grounds a little bit and kind of acclimate to, that's going to be a huge climate adjustment going from Wisconsin to 5,000 feet in
Oh yeah.
elevation in New Mexico. So um, we're going to get there a couple days early and hopefully get time to, you know, get used to things a little bit. So
So when you go, is it just you and one judge then?
no, so the test is actually scheduled to run from Thursday until Sunday, and every day is a different group of dogs. So I didn't count. I'm going to guess there's about 20 dogs that run each day. And then within that group
Mm-hmm.
of 20, they're split up probably into 3 or 4 smaller groups, because there's different aspects of the test. So one group can be working on one aspect while another group is working on a different aspect. And there's
Just like a round
typically
robin.
kinda, yeah, yep, kinda just help keep things moving a little bit. And then I believe there's 3 judges. So a group of 3 judges will basically follow around each group. And then you kind of take turns running. So I mean, it's a long day because the field portion is an hour. So for that portion, we'll be in there for an hour. But the other portions, as long as things go well, I mean, it could really take 2 minutes, and then you're kind of sitting
Oh
around waiting
really?
for your turn again. So yep, that's
So do
typically how
you,
they run it.
when you're going out then, I mean, like what pops into my mind, because my dogs are, I mean, my dogs are kind of weird, I guess, what some people would consider, because they're used to hunting with me or
Yep,
one other person. Like when there's new people around, it's not that they don't hunt, but it definitely changes the
sure. The
programs, like from
the
the minute they
dynamic.
come out of the box. Yeah.
Yep.
So do you practice with that? Like have people come along that they don't necessarily know?
Oh yeah, it's very important. You know, a lot of times there'll be like little groups that develop. I've met 3, 4, 5 different guys that are running dogs in the invitational as well. And this trainer that he's been doing it forever and he knows a ton of people. Like 2 weeks ago, he hosted a training week or whatever you want to say, where basically a bunch of people he knew he invited up to do invitational training, and I was there as well. And we kind of run it like a test, and so yeah, we're not judging each other's dogs, but like when we're running in the
Right.
field, it'll be 2 dogs running in the field at the same time, and the other 3 or 4 guys that their dogs are in the truck waiting their turn, like they'll come and walk along,
Sure.
because you have designated gunners. So like when I'm running my dog, I kind of pretend like I'm going to shoot, but I'm not actually the one that's shooting. There are gunners in the field. So we try to run it like a test will be. And to be honest with you, by
Sure.
the time your dog's been to this point, it's been, Jade's been through this a whole bunch, so she's used to a bunch of different people in the field, and stuff like that. But you're exactly right. I mean, if I did all the training just by myself alone, she wouldn't be used. There's strange dogs all over the place. It probably would screw her up, but that is something that you want to make sure is not going to affect your dog. It's a lot the same as like
Right.
you
But
said
this
with the
is like a
hounds.
high level.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not like go to your local club and just sign up and go. I mean, it's kind of
no,
like
yeah,
for the
this
hound guys, I guess, Autumn Oaks. This is like Autumn Oaks or Grand America or, Winter Classic versus, you know, Joe Blow at the local hunts. You got to put
Yeah,
your work in to get there,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we're not working with novice dogs.
Everybody that's there has got an extremely high quality dog that they're running, and have been training very hard for the last few years, and likely have several mentors, that have been doing it for longer than that. And, that's
Hmm.
all part of it. I mean, I've done all the training myself. Um, but the truth is, I mean, if it wasn't for a few mentors that I have, there's no way we'd be here. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into it.
For sure. And it's
But
all different aspects, right? Because I remember a while back we did an episode because you had just gotten the invitation, I think, and we
yeah,
were talking about you going out there. But I mean, can you kind of break down the different areas that you're going to get judged on?
yeah. So NAVDA stands for North American Versatile Hunting Dog Association. So what they want to see is a dog that's going to excel in the upland fields, whether it be pheasant hunting or quail or rough grouse or whatever, but as well as a dog that is able to succeed in the water, doing waterfall type stuff. Um,
That
so
that's what I was thinking. There was something about duck retrieval, blind retrieve, and
yep. So for the invitational, the field portion, which would be like the upland portion, basically you just go out and hunt your dog for an hour with another dog. And what they want to see there is the dog has to be steady. So if my dog finds a bird, she has to point a bird. She has to stand there, let me go up and flush it. The gunners will shoot it. And then she has to wait until I release her to go for the retrieve. And then they want to see her retrieve to hand. So she can't be spitting the bird out on the way back or dropping it at your feet or anything like that. But then they also, since you're in the field with another dog, they have to do what's called honoring or backing. So if that other dog finds a bird and is standing on point and my dog sees her, she better stop and stand there.
right.
And then once again, she'll honor that whole sequence of the bird being shot and everything, and she'll wait until I release her. Then she'll go hopefully try to find her bird and not have to honor again. So that's the field portion of it. For the waterfall portion of it, there's two different aspects. One is a blind retrieve across about 125-yard stretch of water. So what they'll do is they'll take a dead duck
Wow.
on the opposite side of the water, kind of throw it in the water and drag it up on the shore a little bit. And me as a handler, I take my dog up to the water's edge and give them a command. And basically, they got to swim straight across, grab that duck, swim back. In my opinion, this is about the hardest portion of the test. Um, Seems simple, but 125 yards is a long ways for a dog
That's a
to swim across
stretch,
the
man.
water, especially when they didn't see anything fall. Um, and
Do they hear a gunshot or anything?
nothing, nothing,
Like to trigger that search instinct?
nothing. It's
Nothing.
all built up based off of training. I start doing that stuff on the ground. Um, putting a pile of bumpers on the ground and lining her up, and back is the command I give, and she runs out, grabs a bumper, comes back. And you just kind of keep stretching that out, and then you slowly transition that to the water. Your first stretch might be 20 yards, then you kind of slowly
Sure.
build up to that 125 yards. And about the biggest thing is once a dog gets a concept is taking them to different chunks of water to do it. Because like I have a pond not far from my house here that I do most of my training on. She'll nail it 100 out of 100 times there because she's done it so much. Like she
Right.
knows, okay, I know there's a duck on the other side. I'm just going to go get it. But you start taking them to new stretches of water. And, sometimes dogs will, if there's cattails or something like that in the water, that's a little different than the water they're used to. That might hang them up a little bit, or they got a little
Sure.
different backdrop on the other side. That might hang them up a little bit. So it's all about proofing your dog. Like, yeah, she'll do it at my place, but I've been to 4 or 5 different different bodies of water now and done it with her, probably more than that, actually, 6 or 8. And I've got a few more that I've kind of kept in my back pocket for the week leading up to the test here.
Right now.
Well, yeah, I gave her about 7 to 10 days off here because I didn't want her to get burnt out, and she's been doing everything perfectly. I don't want her to get burnt out and bored with it. So I've given her about 7 to 10 days off here. And then starting this weekend or maybe Monday, I'm going to try to start getting her to a few chunks of new water. Hopefully, cross my fingers, get good reps and are successful on all those. And then I'm going to feel pretty good, because then you're looking at a week later, it'll be kind of just like what we did just now. Give her a week off, new water. Yep. Then it's going to be a week off, and then new water will be at the test. And hopefully that setting it up like that will do her good. So yeah, that's the blind retrieve portion of it. And then there is also a double mark, which is in the water as well. Basically, they throw a bird that they call the memory bird. It's a duck. It comes out of it's a winger, basically just throws a bird. So that bird goes up in the air, you shoot, almost like you're shooting a duck that's 75 yards out over the water, hits the water. Well, then another one gets thrown real close to you, real close to the shore. It kind of crosses over your face and the dog's face. And you fire your gun too, like you just shot that one. Well, she has to go get that close bird first, bring it back to me, and then I line her up and send her on, and then, give her a command to send her on the second one. And she has to swim directly out to that, pick it up, and bring it back. So that's a little bit easier.
Testing,
yeah,
like the sight. Like she didn't just see it and gets to run and go grab that one right away. It's like she's got a plan. The instincts are taking over, and then whoop, here's a squirrel. Yep. Sidetrack, go back to what you were doing.
Yep, they're testing their marking ability, basically, which marking is when a dog sees something go down, how well it remembers where that went down. Because some dogs like see it go down, and if you don't send them right away, they ain't gonna bring it back, because they're just not good at that marking. So actually in training, I was doing like some triples, and trying to making it harder than it's going to be in the test. You got to remember where 3 of them are now, basically. And sometimes she could struggle through those thirds, but yeah. Yep. It's fun though. That, it seems like that though, because the dog gets the visual and everything, it keeps them a lot more locked in. I mean, like, yeah, your dog might screw up and take a bad line and have a tough time finding that second one, but they're not going to get bored with it and just tell you, I'm not going to do it,
because they know it's there.
Yeah. It's just mentally, it's more stimulating, being able to see that go down. And I'm sure the gunshot helps a little bit, but I think when dogs get to this point, the gunshot just becomes a little monotonous. Cause you do so much fake gun shooting that doesn't mean anything.
Like push button.
I don't know but that visual and seeing it splash in the water, that definitely gets them triggered up. But
I'll bet. So, I mean, stuff like this though, I mean, I know that NAVHDA has a lot of programs out there, like a lot of training nights all over the US. People, you guys get together all the time.
Yep.
But, something like that, I guess I think of it like the hounds. I mean, just to put it in perspective, I go to night hunts, or I shouldn't say I go. I used to when I had more time and could travel, because we're so spread out here. But, we would go do that, and we won a couple, we made a night champion, but it's a totally different level. In no way did I train those dogs in any way for those hunts. Mm-hmm. It was just, we were chasing whatever else at home, and they happened to go to an area with some coons and they chased them.
Yeah.
But,
it was all instinct pretty much.
The bird dogs. Yeah, exactly. It was still tree game. It was no big deal. They didn't know the rules. And to me, when they performed the way that they do in the field, it never upset me, because I didn't want to screw up the routine and the method behind what we were doing to accommodate one night a month.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
Like we hunt the same way every single time we go. The difference was I was on foot. And I miss those. Honestly, walk hunting my dogs is probably one of my favorite things to do just because you're so close and you get to see everything. And,
Yep.
it
More
kind of
hands
makes
on.
you, I put away the Garmin. That was the time that I would really just put my Garmin away for the most part because it didn't matter. I
Yep.
was trusting the dogs and doing all that. But none of those dogs would perform at a level like Autumn Oaks or Winter Classic.
Yeah.
We went to the Heartland Classic one year out by you and we did well. We just got teamed up with dogs that were flat. They were better.
Yeah.
It was dogs that had won several $1,000s in prize money, and I felt
Yeah.
really accomplished at the fact that we made the trip to Wisconsin, spent 3-4 days on the road, got there, new ground, new setting conditions, and we hung in there pretty dang close for a long time. But like, if you want to go from, let's say somebody getting a puppy and they think, oh, well, I want to get involved in NAVDA, they can go to these things and these training, what you guys do, like training classes or training nights, things like that, right?
Yes. So the local chapters will host training nights, throughout the summer. Obviously, it's kind of weather dependent in the winter, especially up here. There's not much that happens in the winter up here, but yeah, they'll host training nights on a couple nights a week or whatever, where you can bring your dog. And um, to be honest with you, I don't go to many of those. I'm kind of in a bad spot here where I got 2 hours to one chapter and 2 hours to another chapter. I'm a member of a chapter, but extremely I'm extremely lucky in that I've got a couple people right around me that are also NAVDA members, and we kind of do our own training days or training nights or
Like
whatever, and that helps a
unsanctioned
lot.
stuff.
Yeah, yep. We just kind of do the same thing that you do at a training night, but on our own time, more or less. But it
Sure.
and there'll be dogs of all levels there. Um, I think we've talked in previous podcasts. The first step in NAVDA is a natural ability test. The second step would be the utility test, and then if they earn a prize one in the utility test, then they qualify then for the invitational, which we're running. So you're probably not going to see a lot of invitational dogs at those training nights just because, there isn't that many invitational dogs in the country on a year-to-year basis anyways. So, most of those training stuff is your NA dogs and your UT dogs, but it's fun because you get to brainstorm with other people and see, some guys that
Sure.
have been doing it for an extremely long time and some guys that, all different experience levels. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. What I do with my
Yeah.
dogs and what's worked for me, somebody else that has been extremely successful or more successful than I have with it, it might do something completely different. But
Yeah.
so you get to pick people's brains that way and learn different things. And a
It
huge,
seems like one of those things, though. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say a huge, a huge portion of these bird dog tests is just obedience. So,
Yeah.
the hunting aspect that's in the dog, but what people overlook is the obedience that these dogs have and what it takes to pass these upper level tests. Like if I tell my dog to heel, I better only tell her once, and she better not leave until I
Right.
tell her to leave. If I sit her down next to the water's edge, she better sit there until I release her to go get the bird. I don't care if another bird falls right in front of her and another dog comes and gets it. She better not move a muscle until I go tell her to leave. And just that kind of stuff, I think people overlook. And I know of a lot of dogs that have kind of failed tests because of that. So, and it's a slippery slope. I
Right.
mean, you got to train that obedience, but yet also the dog has to know when it's time to think for itself and go find a bird or swim across that 125 yards of water and go get the duck, So, um, but a lot of that obedience, you learn a lot of tips and tricks. Same way with that, just stuff that you do at home that sets them up
Oh,
for
sure.
just getting used to that, you know.
It just sounds to me like if somebody, like, let's say I were to get a bird dog, which may happen at some point. If you want to start doing, like, if you want to perform at that level, though, you're starting the groundwork from the very beginning. Because I would assume,
I
like, if I were to take a dog and just, like I'm on the phone with you or whoever else, I got other buddies that train, and I'm just kind of trying to make a dog, kind of like what Buddy's doing. Like Sadie,
yeah,
he just takes her hunting. That's an
yeah,
enjoyable thing. He's working with her. But let's say I were to get that dog where it's pointing, it's retrieving, it's doing the things that I want it to do. But if I were to try to shift gears and jump into that, like, NAVDA structure, I could see where I could do some things in those early days that would really inhibit that dog from performing at the level it needs to for those tests. Like the things that I would look over or be acceptable of, like in those situations, you
yeah.
can't, right? I mean, that would be the tough part.
It's hard to give them a 100-foot leash and then try to, all of a sudden they're 4 or 5 years old, try to put them on a 3-foot lead. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, well, what the hell is this?
Right.
So, well, before we jumped on here, I got a 4-month-old puppy and I was just out working her in the yard on a little command lead. No birds, nothing. Is basically just all obedience stuff. Just trying to set that foundation for the future, and she's only 4 months old. So I've ran her on a bunch of birds and she does a great job pointing and retrieving and stuff for me now. But yeah, she needs to get, that obedience side of it. And you don't want to start hammering that, at a super young age. I mean, you got to let a puppy be a puppy too, but
because they're not mentally ready.
Yeah, they're just not mentally ready for it. I mean, even the difference between Jade now, who, like I said, turns 4 in 2 weeks, just the difference between now and when she was 2, and when I was running her in these tests, like you can just tell the screws are just a lot tighter upstairs. There's not near as much jiggling around up there, and she's just a lot more dialed in. So, but you gotta start with that foundation and have something to go back to all the time. And a lot of a foundation of a bird dog is just obedience.
Right.
So
before the trip, you got a couple of ponds. I mean, what's your last ditch training? Is that really what you're going to be focusing on then?
pretty much just showing her new water. I need to run her in a couple braces again, which a brace is when you run the field with another dog, and make her honor and stuff. Honoring is kind of her weak point. She's kind of a bitch, to be honest with you. So if she doesn't trust the other dog, honoring is basically a trust deal. If I'm running my dogs together, right, they'll honor each other from a mile away if they can see each other. But when you start mixing strange dogs in there, and my dog's, like I said, she's kind of a bitch. So if she doesn't trust that other dog, she's not always sure that she wants to honor. So I'm kind of hoping to put her in a couple positions between now and the test where she doesn't want to honor, so I can really
correct it.
So get a really strong, firm correction on that and be like, it ain't happening, bitch. You're not doing that. And hopefully that'll leave a good impression. So I know that, or hopefully that'll carry over into test day, just so if she gets something in her mind where she's not sure if she wants to, she'll remember, oh, wait, I tried this the other day and it didn't work out well. So,
right.
I'm going to do that. And obviously shore the new water. Well, a curveball she threw, and she's in heat right now. So,
oh, yeah. God, that's got to be the worst too. You're like down to the wire and she's in.
2 weeks ago, I actually had some people over on my place where I normally train in my field, and we ran a brace with another dog. I mean, and like I said, she can kind of be a bitch, but she'll usually honor, but she absolutely would not honor. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And I told the trainer that I was with, I'm like, I bet you she's coming in heat, because yeah, she's kind of a dominant dog, and I can see where being on her own turf, she's going to be like, screw you, I don't want to honor.
This is my house.
but I'm like, it was more than even I would have expected today. And once you know it, the next day, there she's bleeding. And I'm like, oh, dang it. So she came in heat about 4 weeks to the day before she runs in the test. So I'm a little glad it happened now rather than, 3 or 4 weeks later to hopefully get it out of there. But I think there's a chance she's
there.
Yeah. I think there's a chance she's still going to be bleeding a little bit at the test, which would be a bummer because then they move us from Thursday to Sunday. So that's 4 more days of kill season I'm going to miss, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? It's not like I'm going to back out now. I mean, it came this far.
Yeah, no kidding. So. Well, I hope you have a good trip, man. We'll have to do a recap once you're done. Hopefully she comes home with a title.
Oh, man, I hope so. I try not to think about it because it stresses me out, but I'm usually pretty good at keeping my cool when it comes to test day. Even I kind of compare it to we got a bear on the ground fighting. I'm pretty good at, people be freaking out. I like to go with the person that's got the gun or whatever, just so I can whisper in their ear, like, hey, it's all right. Just take a deep breath, So I'm pretty good at that, even though I got my dogs staring at a bear that could send him to the vet or kill him, but so I'm hoping I can kind of keep my emotions in check on test day. But generally when it's all over, things come to a head, and that same thing happens when we end up shooting a big bear on the ground in front of dogs and that thing's laying there dead. And usually I let it all out then. So I'm hoping I can, I'm hoping I can do the same thing on test day.
Just compartmentalize.
Yeah. And they pick up on that stress, if you're not doing things exactly the way you've been doing them in training, or, you're a little short with them or something like that. I mean, they pick up on that. So the more you can make it just another day of training, the better off you're going to be. But that's hard to do too. I mean, it's very hard to do. But
for sure. Well,
I'm
be
looking
safe,
forward to
man.
it.
Have a good trip with the kids.
Oh, man.
Lots of snacks.
That's going to be the wild card right there. That's going to be the wild card.
The good news is
handle it.
You're all going. You got a couple of days to let them settle in.
Yeah.
You'll be fine, man.
And a lot of this stuff I've done on my own. I mean, I've gone to a lot of these tests and stuff on my own. The wife will stay at home and text her updates and whatnot. So, and obviously, I mean, the dogs sleep in the kid's bed, and so they're a huge part of our family. So I'm kind of excited for them to experience this as well, and hopefully be there to celebrate if it goes well. So it'll be fun.
No, that's awesome. It'll probably help you out. I mean, really, the dog's routine, it's got all its people there. Like,
I'm hoping so.
That's
but
the
time will tell,
sauce, man.
Time will tell.
Well, be safe, bud.
All right, man. I look forward to catching up with you again after it's over, and hopefully we got good news to report.
Yeah, keep sending updates.
Will do, man.